into the roller tray, slap the paint on. Definitely makes the doors look more complete. As forecast, the rain has started. That's clever, isn't it? Flying in the door where you can't get out. I'm going to revisit something now that I have not been looking forward to. Well, that is absolutely mullered now. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today, here in England, as usual, we're forecast for some rain. But I've got plenty of stuff to be getting on with my cars, as usual. So I'm heading over to my other garage now to hopefully have quite a productive day. Half the day has already gone, as usual, but for good reason, because I spent the morning chatting to some of you guys online and setting up a couple of car shares for today to showcase some of your cars on my social media and my website, which I absolutely love doing. So I'm going to make my way to my other garage now. I'm going to decide exactly what I'm going to be cracking on with today, make a bit of a head start, and then I'll pick the camera back up. So I'll see you in a sec. Hello, right, so I've made it to the garage. Now, one thing I really wanted to get done today was to paint Maude's bonnet blue. As you'll know, if you've been watching my videos, I've only been able to get the bonnet in etch primer so far. Now, obviously, we've got rain coming, so it's probably not the best time to be doing any paint work. But I've had a bit of a shuffle round, so I've pulled my dad's Mk3 out of its garage, and I've got Maude lined up in front of that garage, and I'm gonna paint the bonnet while it's still attached to the car. And yeah, if it starts raining, I can just push the front of the car into the garage to keep it dry. And with the bonnet attached to the car, it means that I can run the engine to hopefully speed up the drying process. I would also like to make a start on painting the wheels today. So I've already removed the banded steel wheel that was on this side, on the front, and just fitted one of my spare steelies. I actually only had one banded steel on the front, so the other front one is already off the car. I've already given the bonnet a tickle with some 320 sandpaper, and I've given it a panel wipe. I've tried to mask out these areas where there was rust before, where the alternator fan pinged up and made a couple of holes in the bonnet. There's a couple of dents over that side as well, and yeah, I want those bits to go rusty again because they tell the story of Maude's history. I've already poured the blue paint into the roller tray, so it's time to slap the paint on. I think once the paint has gone off a little bit, I'll be able to lift the bonnet up and then I'll be able to paint the edges. So I've kept it quite thin for the first coat. Probably should have gone a bit heavier here. But yeah, I'm just going to run the engine for a bit. I reckon because it's so thin, this will go off very soon and I'll be able to give it another one straight away. A little bit on this corner of the boot while I'm here. Yeah, it's definitely started to go off. So I've lifted the bonnet up. I'm just going to touch in these bits that I didn't get done before. Lovely job. Time for another coat, I reckon. Let that bake for a bit and then I'll be able to lift the bonnet up and do the edges and round the back as well. Alright, so that's all it's getting today. I probably should give this a third coat really, but I'm going to see how it looks once it's fully gone off, and maybe I'll give it another coat another day. But for now, I'm going to crack on with some other stuff. You may remember when I painted this car, I mentioned that the weather strips that go here, they basically got a bit bent up and stuff when I pulled them out. Well, my new ones have finally come through the post. So I've got these off eBay. I've got the outer ones and these sort of furry inner ones. The door cards that were fitted to this car had the inner ones as part of them, but I'm not going to be putting those door cards back in this car. Now I've still got all the clips on the doors. There are some missing, like this should have 4, but it's only got 3. And yeah, these weather strips come like this, and you have to cut them to length, and then I should just be able to slide them down into their clips, and that should be sweet. I've got the old one here, it's really too short. They do sort of shrink from the heat over time. Last time I sort of cut a notch here, just so that I could slip it down here where this rod is. I don't know whether the original ones would have just stopped here or whether they would have been like this. I don't know. It needs to be cut there. Now this part here that actually slips into the clips has got metal inside, so probably gonna have to use a hacksaw. Alright, so after a lot of trial and error, it seems to fit pretty well. Like I say, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be, you know, cut around this bit or whether it's just supposed to be cut to there. But yeah, this is the way I done it last time and it seemed to work good, so yeah. Definitely tidies up the doors. So that's one down, 3 to go, so I'm gonna crack on with the others now. Alright, so that's all 4 weather strips on now. Definitely makes the doors look more complete. I actually don't have any clips to fit the inner ones, so they'll have to wait for another day. As forecast, the rain has started, so I've pushed the front of Maude into my dad's garage. But luckily, I can still get to this door sill. Now, this door sill has come away a couple of times and I've had to re-glue it, and it definitely lets water in. I noticed before when I used to put the car through car washes, you'd see water dripping down here. And yeah, this part of the floor does look a little bit orange. No holes, but yeah, you can see where the water's been getting in. I don't know if there's any rust under there. Now, as I've mentioned, I will be sending the car back to Chris KEMBER at CLUMPFAB at some point this year to deal with any rust that is on the floors, you know, in the front or the back. So we'll worry about that then. But I do want to change this door sill so that I can at least make the car a little bit more watertight. I've bought this quite cheap door sill on eBay, and I'm hoping this is going to do the job. The original ones have these sort of moulded corners, whereas this one doesn't. I'm going to have to sort of cut it at an angle, you know, miter it to make the corner. But yeah, I'm hoping that this will keep the water out better than that broken one does. And I bought enough of this for 2 doors, but if it is any good, then I'll probably buy another load so that I've got enough for all 4 doors. That's clever, isn't it? Flying in the door where you can't get out. There we go. Oh, for f***'s sake, man. Not 100% happy with my miter job. Don't know if that's going to actually keep the water out. I suppose there's only one way to find out. Still dropping from the same spot that it was with a broken sill. Don't look like any coming where that miter joint is though. I think the problem is this top of the door needs to come in a bit. See if we can do it without breaking the glass. That's a bit better. And that's with the door not even properly closed. Yeah, it should seal a lot better now. It's just occurred to me that I probably should have started working on Maude's wheels as soon as I'd painted the bonnet, because those last 2 jobs I'd done, the weather strips and the door sill, I could have started doing while I was waiting for products to go off. Anyway, I am now gonna put the rest of this door sill away. And what I'll do is I'll keep an eye on all the other door sills, and I'll only bother replacing them if they actually leak, because the original ones are a bit better with the proper moulded corners. But for now, I am going to crack on with Maude's wheels. And I have actually already made a start. The other day, I used thinners on this wheel. This is the one that hasn't been fitted to Maude for quite a while now. So I used thinners to basically clean them up, but it ended up taking all the white paint off and it's left the majority of the etch behind. There was a couple of rust spots which I've, you know, gone over with sandpaper. Another one there and another one there. And what I intend to do is basically degrease this as best as I can and just chuck a little bit of cure rust on those spots, and then I'm just going to hit it with bar coat, and then it should be ready to hit with whichever colour I decide to paint them. This one here that was on the front of Maude, when I gave Maude a jet wash the other day, I basically made a start on getting all the white paint off with thinners, in a similar way. This is so much easier than sanding them down. The fact that it's leaving most of the etch behind is probably doing me some favours as well. There we go. I've given all the rust patches a bit of a tickle with sandpaper. Given the whole wheel a degrease now just to get rid of all the thinners. I haven't gone mad with it, there's still marks and stuff, but yeah, I can't be bothered to make these surgically clean as I'm only giving them a bodge up spray can job. Alright, I brought both wheels inside the garage now because it just started spitting with rain again, and both wheels have now been degreased, and I've hit all the bare metal bits that were rust with the cure rust on both wheels. I've masked up this tyre a little bit because although this is a budget tyre, this will be going back on the car as it is. This one I'm not so fussed about because this tyre is bald and this wheel hasn't been on the car for ages, and I already painted the tyre when I was primering the car. Now I need to leave the cure rust to go off. It normally says on the bottle that you need to leave it 3 hours. I've put it on a little bit thin this time, so hopefully I'll get away with just leaving it a couple of hours. Now I need to think of something else to occupy me. I'm probably not going to bother actually trying to paint or primer the rear wheels today. But I think what I'm going to do now is spend a little bit of time on Esther, my ST170 powered Mk1 Escort. If you watched the last video, you'll know that I assumed that I'd fried Esther's alternator. Basically the battery wasn't charging, and then I struggled to get the car back to the garage, and I found that the main wire was off of the alternator. And when I put that wire back on the alternator, it still didn't seem to be charging the battery properly, and the alternator was really, really hot. For some reason today, it does seem to be charging. I know it's only at 13.7 volts, but when I give it a little rev, it goes up to like 14.3 volts. Also, the battery gauge is now in the green. It's low in the green, but it is now back in the green. Now, obviously, the alternator still isn't charging as much as I'd like to see it. You know, I'd like to see it above 14.5, 14.6 volts. But it is now working a lot better than it was last time I was around here. Now, does that mean that because the alternator has had a chance to cool down, it's now actually working, whereas it wasn't before? Or is the fault just intermittent? I mean, I was going to take it off the engine today and then take it somewhere to get tested, but I'm not so sure now. I think while it's not chucking it down with rain, I'm going to take her for a rip round the block and see if the symptom comes back. Any excuse to drive her. Yeah, I've left my sucker mount at the garage, so I can't do any entertaining clips of me taking Esther for a rip. But so far, the battery gauge is still in the green. Yeah, I just had quite a long pull, which should in theory charge your battery quite well. But the gauge is now heading back down to the red. So I assume that the alternator is going to be red hot like it was last time. But yeah, I'm going to head back to the garage now and we'll have a look. Yeah, so idle, it's still putting out 13.2 volts. And when I revved it just then, it wouldn't get up to 14 volts. It was like 13.97, but the fan was on. So yeah, it's definitely not charging as it should, but it's not like it was when I was around here before the Chelsea cruise. It wouldn't even get to 13 volts when you revved it, and that was with everything off. So I think I'm going to whip this alternator off and get it tested. Got to let it cool down first. Rob actually knows someone local that refurbishes alternators, so now I'm waiting for the cure rust to go off on Maude's wheels and waiting for the alternator to cool down. I'm going to revisit something now that I have not been looking forward to. Let's see if we can get this snapped off stud out of the cylinder head of my dad's Mk3. Now, I have been soaking that in WD-40 and I've just done it once more. Yeah, I suspect I'm going to have to use like an easy out or something, but we'll just try once more with the mole grips. If there's actually enough left to grip onto. Don't look like it at all. I think I'm going to have to file it flush and then use easy out. It's not quite flush yet, but now that it's actually flat, I might actually be able to drill into it to try and use the easy out. Let's give it another go with a WD. So the easy out's basically got a reverse thread on it, so when you put it in anti-clockwise, it bites, and then it should wind the rest of that bolt out. in theory. It's not deep enough. Yeah, I've messed that up big time. Well, that is absolutely mullered now. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, I was kind of thinking of putting this engine back together just to confirm if the head gasket has gone. I know loads of you guys were suggesting that I do a sniff test. In fact, one of you offered to send me the sniff test thing absolutely free, which I really appreciate. I've never used a sniff test thing before. I don't know exactly how it works. It's looking like I'm going to have to get the cylinder head off to fix that hole now anyway. So I may as well just send the cylinder head off to Chris KEMBER at CLUMPFAB, get him to recondition it, put it back on with a new head gasket, and then, you know, go about flushing the coolant system and all the other things that I suggested I was going to do before I actually ruled out the head gasket. But yeah, what a mess. Still, killed a bit of time. Right, I'm going to crack back on with these wheels now. I'm going to hit them both with bar coat, because I need this one to dry so that I can fit it back to the car to get home. Well, on the can of that barcode, it says that it takes 15 to 20 minutes to dry, so I'll just let them go off and then I'll get the actual spray paint out. In the meantime, I might as well get Esther's alternator off, disconnect the battery, and then I can disconnect the alternator. Got one plug that pulls out, this nut that holds this main lead on. Now I need to take the tension off the belt, get the belt off, then I can unbolt the alternator itself. Ow. Alright, sorry, my neighbour's just popped round and he's playing some copyright music, so I'm talking to you from inside Esther's cockpit. What I'm going to do now is cue the music and spray those two wheels. Alright, so I'm on my way home. I couldn't chat to you at the garage because my neighbour was there playing copyright music and he left after I did. But yeah, got the passenger side front wheel bolted back onto Maude. Really happy with how the black wheel looks on the car. It's very understated compared to having white wheels, but it's perfect. I'm not overly happy with the finish on the paint. There's some dots where you can see the bar coat through it, where obviously the black paint didn't stick. I probably didn't leave the bar coat long enough or didn't prep it properly, but it is what it is. Once they get dirty, you won't see those spots, although I might just key up the wheels and give them another coat at some point, we'll see. Really, really happy with how Maude looks with a blue bonnet. Really happy that I've almost completed the paint job. I still need to do the underside of the rain gutters, both sides, but yeah, other than that, she's looking pucker now that she's all blue. Just need to get the rear wheels painted black and get a tyre for that other banded steel, although I'll probably buy two fronts, to be honest. And yeah, and then the look will be complete. Oh, actually, I still need to paint the bumpers black. Anyway, really gutted about my dad's cylinder head, but I'm pretty sure that Chris KEMBER at CLUMPFAB will be able to repair that hole, and you know, it just means I'm not going to bother clutching at straws, trying to see if the head gasket has gone or not. I'm pretty sure it has. In terms of Esther, now that I've got her alternator off, I need to get in touch with Rob actually and find out where that place is that refurbishes alternators. And yeah, I should be able to go there at some point next week and either get it refurbed or get them to confirm that it is actually okay. So yeah, plenty of stuff to be doing in my weird Ford-based life, but I absolutely love it. And yeah, I'll keep making videos to show you exactly what I get up to, as long as you guys keep enjoying the videos. Another couple of things, next week I'll probably be picking up Esther's Revolution alloys from the powder coaters. Massive shout and a thanks to Sam and Alan at Microglass Services in Windsor. I'll leave a link to their website and their social media in the description. Get in touch with them if you need any powder coating doing. And I'm hoping to go and see a guy who is hopefully going to be able to make me some brand new glass for Maude's wing mirrors. And I'll take the camera along with me when I get that done as well. So for now, I'm going to end this video here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media and my website. I'll also leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me. Massive thanks to everyone for your continued support on my channel. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.